Proud Mouth. Be your own loud.
Hey, everybody, it is Matt Halloran here. Now, about a month ago, I had my brother on the show, and now I've actually got one of our first guest brothers on this show, and I'm really excited to have a chance to meet Rob and have all of you meet Rob. First, I want to say hi to everybody who's watching us live. Thank you very much for tuning in. Um, so, Rob is the epitome of rising above the noise and being his own loud, and here's why. He is fundamentally doing something professionally, we're going to dive into this a little bit more deeply, that is so different than how everybody else does it. And he's achieving unbelievable levels of success. And here at Proudmouth, that's our big picture goal, right? Is to find people who can tell you that when they decided that they were going to truly embody their own self and what that did for them, both personally and professionally, is why Rob Cardenas is on the show. So first, Rob, how you doing, brother?
Hey, thank you so much, Matt. And before we get started, hold on. I want to get
Woohoo! Yeah, the
Yeah.
merch. I love the merch, dude.
yeah
Thanks, dude.
my new favorite T-shirt. I appreciate it so much, and I appreciate Matt the opportunity to be on the show and spend some time with you this morning. So thank you so much.
Well, tell us your story because it's interesting. So, for those of you who don't know Kelly, Kelly Cardenas was on the show early on, and when he told a story, it's going to be fundamentally different because I just found out that Rob is 3 years older, and how that. And most of you know this, depending on where you are in birth order, how you perceive things, the different ages that those things happen really change. And so, Rob, tell us your story. How did you get to where you are now? And just give us a little bit of background, please.
So my story would be not unlike many others, a journey of sorts, mired by defeat and failure, and sprinkled with a dash of success, and uh, uh, filled with an abundance of gratitude. So I wake up every single morning and give thanks for the people in my life and the things in my life and the life that I get to live. So generally, that's the overview, but specifically, I'm the product of two teenage parents. My mom was 16 when she had me. My dad was 19. Shortly after I was born, he went in the military. So I grew up as a military brat of sorts, lived around in various areas in the world, around the country, which I think helped shape my attitude and my personal and social relationships and my outlook. We were surrounded by a ton of different ethnicities and cultures, and so I think that that was super beneficial. Moving around a lot as a kid also was difficult because there was separation from parents at times, and there was separation from friends a lot growing up. But it did help to shape my outlook and sort of my social skills. So
Hmm.
I'm very grateful for that. I was probably as a young kid an above average student, but it was really more so for um, the result of maybe some of my innate or
Sure.
natural ability. As I got a little older, I started to decline. I was probably a below average student by the time I reached high school because I could no longer really survive on my natural ability. I gravitated heavily towards art and athletics, and those were kind of my escapes that kind of got me through those formative teenage years. But as I got older and into high school, I couldn't really rely on those natural abilities and talents any longer, and so I started to see my grades sort of suffer. The only classes I did okay in through high school were the things tied to art or athletics. My core classes, I kind of struggled, not because I was a dumb kid or wasn't a smart kid, but simply because I didn't do the work.
Hmm.
I wasn't a studier. I didn't do homework. I just kind of showed up and treated high school as a social environment more than anything. Um, I was told when I was in high school that my only two options were the military or trade school. Uh, Shortly after graduation, while all my friends, my close friends, went away to college and pursue their dreams, I really was stuck in a small town. Didn't have any direction. No one in my family had ever gone to college. My dad dropped out of high school when he was a junior. My
Mm.
mom graduated from high school, but by the time she graduated from high school, she had two kids. So I didn't really think of college as being a possibility, much less a probability. And so I spent the first year out of high school kind of stumbling around. I did go to, ironically, did attend trade school. I couldn't complete the externship portion of it, however, and I just it wasn't in it wasn't my desire to pursue that particular field. A friend of mine, who's still a close friend of mine to this day, convinced me to attend our local community college. He actually, this is back in the day when you didn't sign up online. This is back in the old school day where you actually had a pamphlet and
Yeah.
you completed the class sign up and took your check down to an actual office. And so for 12 credits, I paid $36 and enrolled in the local community college. I kind of stumbled through my first year of community college, sort of an extension of high school. I was
Yeah.
attending the local classes with a lot of people that I had either gone to high school with or I knew from around town. I really didn't have a whole lot of direction. At or around the time of my second year at community college, I had a conversation which really kind of altered uh, the trajectory of my life. I was a youth basketball coach at the time, and an individual, one of the parents, the father specifically, of one of the kids that I coached, I viewed him as being incredibly successful. I was a 20, 21-year-old kid, very impressionable. He had a nice family, a beautiful kids, beautiful home, nice car, all the things that as a 20, 21-year-old I viewed as being like, that's the
Yeah.
definition of success. That's what I would like. And he sat me down one day and asked me what I wanted to do with my life. And I was pretty embarrassed and a little hesitant. And I said, well, I think I want to coach high school basketball and be an English teacher. And he looked at me kind of sternly and he was like, no, son, what do you really want to do? And I was, at this
Mm.
point, I was little taken aback. And I was very hesitant because I hadn't admitted this to anybody up to that point. And I said, well, sir, I think I want to go to law school, but I don't want to be a lawyer. And I know that sounds weird. And he said, son, that doesn't sound weird at all. I went to law school and I'm not a lawyer. And right
Oh.
then it was like a light bulb went off in my head because here was this individual, this man, this husband, this father who I viewed as being a successful person and whose life was something to aspire, right, to. And so at that point, I made the decision that I was going to attend law school. And from that point on, when anybody would ask me, "What's your major? What are you going to do?" I would just say, "I'm going to law school." I didn't want to be a lawyer. I had no intention of practicing law. I didn't know any lawyers.
Mm.
In fact, the one time I got in trouble in high school and probably needed a lawyer, we couldn't afford one. So I'd
Yeah.
never been involved in any or around the environment at all. But I just felt like that was my path and that's the direction that I was being led. And so I really buckled down and I started to focus on studying and putting in the work. And I committed myself to doing well in school. I wasn't a smart kid. I've never been the smart kid. I've never been the smart guy. I've never been overly intelligent. I'm a grinder, man.
Mhm.
I work hard, and that was ingrained in us kids by our parents, and we saw them and the struggle and the strife that they endured throughout their life. So I just worked hard and I started to speak anytime anybody would ask me what I wanted to do and
Oh.
what I was going to do. I would always tell them I'm going to go to law school, and I did it because I'm a real big believer in the law of attraction. Number one, like speaking things into existence, and
Yep.
what we believe becomes our reality. And also, I was saying it to hold myself accountable, because if I here I am out there telling people I'm going to go to law school, and if I saw them 6 months from that point, or a year from that point, and they're like, "Hey, aren't you going to law school?" Yeah, so I did it to hold myself accountable. I did it because I was raised to believe that anything is possible, and that we can achieve anything that we set our mind to. Um, and so attended law school. I scored the worst LSAT score of anyone entering into my class, but I had done really well through college grade
Uh-huh.
wise. So my poor LSAT score was, thankfully I was able to kind of balance out a little bit with my grades, and got through law school. Had a great time through law school, and still, even in law school, when all my friends and my roommates were doing clerkships and interning and working, and I didn't work. I traveled during the summer, and I figured, you know what, if I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to be doing it for the next 30, 40 years, and I kind of want to enjoy my life. And I still didn't really know or have any idea of what I wanted to do once I
Hmm.
graduated. But as fate would have it, uh, uh, during my second or my last year of law school, my brother Kelly had moved to Las Vegas, and I came out to visit him, and ended up meeting my wife, at the who we've been happy for 18 years. Two beautiful children, Riley, who's our 16-year-old junior in high school, and Cameron, our son, who's a 14-year-old freshman in high school. And so I had told my brother, listen, if you can land me a job out in Vegas, I'll move to Vegas. I was in Memphis, Tennessee at the time, in school. And my brother knows quite a few people, and he's a connector of sorts. And
Hmm.
he knew somebody who knew somebody who connected me with a lawyer here in Las Vegas, who I met with. And that's how, and I was offered a job. And 3 days after I graduated from law school, moved out here to Vegas, and been here ever since, and been very, very blessed to do what I do. I love what I do. I've been an attorney practicing in the community here for 21 years. 5.5 years ago, my wife and I made the decision to step away from a very, very lucrative and successful personal injury practice, where I had a very, very nice salary and benefits, and caseload, and we made the decision to step away and start our own practice.
Well, hold on there. So why did you do that? Right? I mean, as a grinder, which you're a self-proclaimed grinder, being able to just do the work is very, very different than taking that big risk. What flipped in your brain that you wanted to hang your own shingle?
Well, so my wife had kind of been planting this seed for quite some time,
Okay.
and I'll be honest with you, Matt. I'm not scared of many things, and I hate to even use the word scared or even fearful.
Fear. Hmm.
I'm a faith guy, not a fear guy. But I'll be honest with you, I did have a little bit of a fear of running my own show or my own business, simply because I didn't feel comfortable with all of the um, other aspects of being
Sure.
a lawyer running a firm. Tactically, I was good at my job. I was a good trial lawyer. I was good with people, but I didn't know how to send a fax. I didn't know how to serve a complaint or file a complaint. I didn't know how to manage employees and do all of these other things. So part of it was a little bit of fear. The other part of it was financially, right? Like, do we take this risk? And I think where I got, and what really was the catalyst was, I was about 41 or 42 years old. I had reached a point in my career where I had sort of achieved everything that I needed to achieve for me.
Hmm.
I'm not an ego guy, although I have a little bit of an ego. But I felt like I had reached a point where I had sort of become a little complacent, and it kind of scared me because I got a little lazy,
Mm.
and I looked around and I was like, I'm 42 years old. My children, I'm going to have two colleges coming up. And this is the best my life is ever going to be. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful to my prior employer or to anyone that I was working with, but I always felt that there was something bigger out there for me, and that I was here to achieve something greater. And
Mm.
I mean, my parents would, the way they raised us was always like, every day we were told you're the greatest, and you were destined for greatness. And that's just the way we were raised. So I got to this point, I'm 42 years old, I'm looking around and I'm like, this isn't the best life, I mean, that I could have. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, financially, we were in a tough spot. I was making a good salary, but I was in debt. I was drowning in debt. I had not touched my student loan in terms of paying that off. I had 40 or $50,000 in credit card debt. I had $80,000 in student loan debt. I had, of course, a mortgage and cars that I probably shouldn't have been driving, that were too expensive. I had little to no savings. Well, I had absolutely no savings. I had little to no 401k. And I just looked around and I needed something that was going to change my life. And my kids, I'll never forget it. My wife had kind of been, planting the seed and trying to encourage me to step out and do it. And I'll never forget, we were visiting my brother in Carlsbad, and we were getting in the car to drive back to Vegas. And you know how when the excitement of leaving for vacation in that first day, where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And then there's then there's the day when you're supposed to return home, where you're like, it's a little melancholy, and you're like, now I got to go back to reality. And that's kind of where I was at, my headspace. And my my kids, who at the time, I think our daughter would have been 6 years ago. She was probably around 9, which would have put my son at around 6. They said, Dad, specifically, are getting in the car. They're like, Dad, when are you going to your own office? When are you going to have your name on the building? And my wife looked at me, and, because this was kind of like a big parent moment, right? Like, they're going to remember how I respond. And I kind of hesitated, and my mom says, or not my mom, my wife says, well, I think what we'll do is we'll save some money. We'll make some money, save some money, and then we'll open up an office. And my daughter just matter of factly says, well, why don't you just open up the office, and then you'll have the money? And my wife and I kind of looked at each other and smiled, and we're like, okay. Um, and so that was kind of the catalyst, where I was at in my life and what I wanted more. And then, my wife and I started this thing, and it's going to make me sound like a wino, but we do enjoy want to drink wine. But we on Wednesday evenings, we started this thing around 8 or 9 years ago, where on Wednesday nights, it was like it was conveniently our only free night, with the kids having activities and sports and things. But Wednesday night happened to be our one free night, and we started this sort of um, thing where we called it Wines Day. And we would sit in the one, in your house or your parents' house growing up, there was that room that you never went into, except like
Of
for
course.
Christmas,
Yes. Yeah.
right where the Christmas tree was, or for a somber event or something. And so we would sit in the front room, and we would make the kids stay in the living room, because we needed some mom and dad time. And we would drink wine, and we would whine about the week, the work day, or the weekday, or the work, the struggles that we had been enduring. And over that bottle of wine, one Wednesday night, my wife and I made the decision that we were going to start our own firm.
Hmm.
And so, you know, admittedly, we had some wine and everything sounded really, really cool at the time. I woke up the next morning, I went to work. I came home from work that day, and my wife is still in her pajamas, sitting on the bed with her laptop open, with post-it notes all over the bed. And I'm in the closet and I'm changing out of my work clothes, and she's like, "I got it all figured out." And I'm in the closet, and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "I got it all figured out. I got it all mapped out how we're gonna do it. We're gonna be Mac, not I.
Hmm.
And we're gonna. I've got the software. I know what sort of bank accounts we need to do." And I'm like, Matt, I was in my closet going, "Oh shit! Like I really agreed to do this."
Yeah.
And so, with her love and support, and encouragement, we took a huge leap of faith. And then the last thing I'll share with you as it relates to that was we had made the decision to do it, and then it really just came down to how we were going to exit.
Oh.
I loved the guys that I worked with and the people I worked with, my staff. I had been with them a long time, and they had honored their commitment to me for many years. And I am who I am today as a professional, as a direct result of my prior firm, and quite frankly, all the people that I've worked with or around over the years have helped me get to this point. But when a lawyer decides to leave and start their own practice, usually what they do is they have money and they have cases, right? They have clients, and they'll usually take clients with them, and that kind of
Hmm.
is the the way they're able to launch their practice. And one of my mentors, when I called and told him that I had made the decision to start my own practice, he's like, "Okay, well, I'm assuming you have money in cases." And I was like, "Nope and nope," right? Because my wife and I had sat down. It was a really, really tough conversation to have, but I wanted to leave my practice, my prior firm, the right way. I wanted to leave with what I came in with, and that was nothing, right?
Hmm.
Just my hard work and my attitude. And I viewed it as, yeah, some of those clients might have signed up with me because of me, but they signed up under the banner of my prior firm, and that's their business. And they were good to me. To jeopardize my relationship with them, either, or my business relationship with them, by taking clients with me. And it was a huge financial decision, and made the jump even to some a little scarier, because we were going to go out on our own with very limited amount of money and no clients. And I'm a personal injury attorney. So in personal injury, if I sign up a case today, it might not resolve and fund for 6, 9, 12, 18
Sure.
months if I'm lucky. So I was basically walking away from a salary and benefits with no clients, and which means I might not see a dime for 6, 9, 12 months. And so, but we made the decision with the help of my brother Kelly, who was one of my mentors, who had sat me down and kind of counseled me through how we should leave. And Kel's, one of his strengths is he never tells you what you should do. He asks you questions
Hmm.
in a way that you end up answering your own question, right?
Sure.
Like he gives you that, he kind of guides you towards the right answer and right decision, and then you feel like, oh, I made that decision, right? Where he's sitting back there, the sage, wise one, right? Um, so we made that decision. That was a tough conversation to have with my wife, because look, honey, we're not gonna take the clients. We're not gonna take 100 clients with us, and so that was tough. And I'm sitting on the couch shortly after we made that decision on how we were gonna leave, and I'm sitting on the couch, and my daughter, who is a who is the grittiest, most resilient person I've ever met in my life. She is, at the time, again, 9 years old. She's a straight A student. She had just come back from uh, uh, training, soccer training. She's a competitive soccer player, and she's sitting on the couch and she's doing her homework, and she has no idea that we're going to start our own practice. She has no idea that we're going to walk away from this life. And I'm going to put my family and their lives at risk, right? And we're sitting on the couch, and she turns to me and she says, "Dad," and I said, "Yes, honey." She said, "I believe in you. You can do anything." And that was it. And I was like, "Thank you." Like, I don't even know where that came from, but thank you.
Ah,
And
yeah,
so for me, Matt, to be honest with you, like, as a man, as a husband, as a father, like, all I need in this life is the love and support of my wife and my kids. And I feel like I can do anything. Like, I can
sure.
conquer the world. And so it was that, for them to just have that sort of naive belief in me, was everything. And not one time during any of the roller coaster, um, from the point we launched, um, to, up until now, has my wife ever wavered in her faith or in her encouragement. Never questioned. In September of 2017, a year and a half into it, when I signed up no clients and brought in $1,400 that month, she never wavered. When my financial advisor came to me, 6 months in, and told me I had $5,000 left to my name, and asked me what my plan was, and I told him this: I don't have another plan. I have plan A. I don't have plan B. When I had been named top 100 lawyers in Nevada, in Las Vegas, and couldn't buy a cup of coffee because my credit cards were maxed, and I didn't even have money in my debit card to buy myself a cup of Starbucks coffee. I just continued to believe in the process and trust the process, and believe in myself and what we
Well,
were
let's
building.
let's let's talk about the process because that's that you do something, and the way that you market and position yourself as a personal injury attorney is fundamentally different. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time before we kind of wrap up today's show. I want to talk about what you do differently and how you've marketed yourself so that you are rising above the noise and getting the attention that you deserve.
Yeah, so I don't proclaim to be the best. I think that we are the best at what we do. Um, I am a start with why kind of guy. I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek. Um, my why in my life is my family, is my I love helping people, man. It's what I'm truly passionate about. I, I live that, and that's authentic. Like, what you see on in social media, my social media, that's me, 100%. Every client has my cell phone number. I'm a very transparent guy. You're either gonna love me or you're gonna hate me. But if you hate me, it's probably because you're jealous of me. We at my office and our business, my wife and I, what we did is, I have priorities in my life. My priorities are my family, my kids, my wife, and by extension, my family and my friends and my chosen family. And we made a conscious decision to build our business and our life around those priorities. And that applies to here in my work family as well. Um, we love what we do. We love to help people. We take really good care of people. And then how do that is by communicating. Communication is the key to trust, right? In any relationship, the way you build trust is through communication. And so we focus on client communication, client satisfaction, client service. We overserve, we over communicate, we care. People don't care about what you know until they know that you care. And
Sure.
that's how we practice, that's how I live my life. And so we made a decision early on that we weren't going to advertise and get lost in the noise of everyone else in my industry that advertises. And I'm not knocking that at all. Because to be quite frank, a part of that decision was I didn't have the resources and the funds to
Oh,
do it when we
right.
started. But also, I just didn't, that's not what I wanted to attract. I wanted people that needed help. I didn't want to provide a service just for people who wanted money, right? Needing a check or wanting money. It's Are you in need of help? If so, I am here to help you. We are here to help you. So
But Rob, how are you getting that word out though? Is it from referrals? If you're not broadcasting that out into the world, how are you attracting the right clients?
well, I think that high level customer service is our marketing advantage.
Okay.
It's, I would say, close to 100% of our business is referral based, friends, family. And listen, medical providers in the community are a big referral source for lots of personal injury firms. We don't get provider referrals. Now, because we're not a big volume firm, right? They have to feed other businesses. But Matt, those medical providers, when their family member or their staff member gets in an accident, you know who they call and text? Me.
Mm,
So they know what's up. So we try to take really good care of people, and we put first of all, I believe that the most important aspect of your business, our business, is our people here. So we take really good care of them. I love on them. I encourage them. I create a safe work environment, a loving work environment, of high quality of life, and then by extension, that goes out to the clients. And so I believe that happy people are more productive and and healthier. And I think that if you see somebody that, like yourself, like I would be drawn and attracted to you because of your energy. Like when Kel told me about you, he was like, man, you're gonna love Matt. And the minute I met you, I was like, that's the kind of guy I would gravitate towards, right? People like that are attractive to other people. There's, whether it's a light or a positive energy or whatever it might be, whatever you might want to call it. So for us, it's, we put out there, we put out the positivity, we help people, we're here to help. And as a result of what we do, a byproduct of what we do is money is involved. We're a business. But how we attract business, I wake up every day, Matt, I give thanks. If somebody asks me what my marketing strategy is, it's I take good care of people, and we service people, and they become raving fans of us,
mhm.
and they become our sort of soldiers, our marketing soldiers, right? And so I have people out in the community that if their friends or family are in need of help, they know that where to turn to. And we're a boutique practice. So I don't need a volume firm. I don't need a heavy volume. I want to be able to provide every client with my cell phone. I want to, if I see them in the grocery store, there's a hug or a handshake. I'll buy you a beer. I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Like that's the kind of relationships that we're developing, and our web is expanding as a result of that. And it's no knock against any other way of practicing. It's just, it's the way I choose to practice and how we choose to practice, because I want to love my life and have a high quality of life.
So I want to wrap this up by what you just said, and then I'm going to ask you my final question, which is, um, creating a group of raving fans is the entire goal of our whole organization. And Rob has done that through a very organic manner of building great relationships, providing excellent service, and getting people out into the world that are going to sing your praises in a clear and succinct manner. I want everybody who's watching this and listening to this, do you have your ducks in a row well enough where if you had raving fans that they would be able to go out and tell everybody who you are and what you do in order to make it so that that keeps growing exponentially? So, Rob, I think you've done an amazing job with that. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that is this one of the main reasons I wanted you on the show. Is I wanted people to hear that even in a highly competitive, huge advertised spend industry, which you're in,
Yeah.
billboards, TV ads, radio ads, that you're doing it in a fundamentally different way and staying true to yourself. Now, my last question for you is this: what should I have asked you?
Oh goodness. I I I I I love that you didn't really get into um, asking me about necessarily what I was more focused on, why and how. And I think that's important because it goes back to that creation of the raving fan, right? We tell people why we do what we do. We love what we do. We tell them how we do what we do, right? We take by taking really good care of you. And then the last component is, oh, by the way, we're a boutique personal injury firm. By that point, they're already in love. Um, Man, I think your platform is amazing. I'm honored that you would even ask me to share, a little bit of my story. And like I said, I'm extremely thankful for the opportunity that I have and what I get to do. And there are
Yeah.
times in my day and my week and my month where I have to sit back and pinch myself, and or when my wife and I have a quiet moment and reflect and go, man, can you always, of course, like I knew this is what was going to happen, even if I didn't
Yeah, that's
necessarily
awesome.
know it, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
uh, there's something else that you said there that I want to make sure that I highlight, which is he gets to the point. So this is where a lot of people fall down who are experts, Rob, is
yeah,
they start off by posturing. This
yeah,
is what I am, not who or why. This is what I am.
hmm,
I'm a financial advisor. I'm an attorney. I'm a CPA. I'm a owner of a company. And by reverse engineering that, when you actually get to the point of saying what you do, because come on, Rob, you know this better than anybody. It's like being an insurance salesman, right? People look at a personal injury attorney and they're like, ooh, really? Right? You're
right,
not the ooh, really kind of guy, right? I never got
yeah,
that vibe from you at all. And there are certain people in the professions that we focus on too, which is attorneys, estate planning attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, and insurance people. We want them to do exactly what you're talking about, because by the time that somebody gets to the point of saying, well, gosh, what do you do for a living, because now they know who you are, they know why you are, right? And then we start getting to the what you do, which is a totally different conversation. Once you've built that relationship with people, and then you can say, I know, by the way, I'm gonna use life insurance because that's one of the ones that, I mean, people like it's like the
sure.
Heisman, right? You know, I sell life insurance. People aren't gonna. They've already built enough of a relationship with you that they still
Yep.
want that connection, even if you do something that is not as socially accepted as being a physician or whatever. Which, by the way,
Oh,
you have as much education as the majority of them. So, okay, so, if anybody wants to reach out to you, Rob, for any reason, whether they just want to hang out, get to know you, be in one of your circles, or maybe even hire you, if there's something that they truly need that you'd be able to help, what is the best way for people to reach out to you?
well, I'm on social media platforms on Instagram and Twitter. It's the same. Rob Cardenas ESQ. And then Facebook is Robert Cardenas. Our website is cardenaslawgroup.com. I'm not I'm not very technologically savvy, so our website isn't the strongest. But I'm pretty active on social media. And what I would tell your listeners or your viewers is the same thing I tell any client. Look, if you've got I'm a personal injury attorney, but if there is a legal question or something that you need assistance with that you think might have a legal component, feel free to reach out. And if I can't help you, I'm gonna try to connect you with somebody that I feel like will take good care of you on the level that
Yeah.
I would, somebody that I trust. So I'm if I have a strength, it's of being a connector in life. I've spent my entire life networking and connecting, not for any uh, uh, below level motivation, but simply because I love people and I love to help people, and I get a great satisfaction out of helping other people and helping other people succeed. So if your listeners or viewers had questions or needed help, um, it's not something, and it's not something I do, then I would definitely hear them out. I could vet their issue for them. I could maybe connect them with somebody that might be able to help them out.
Nice. So, wrapping this up, everybody, stay in your lane, which is what Rob just said, which is super important. You can still provide great value to people, even if you're not the one who solves the ultimate problem. Number two, if you build a relationship with people before you tell them what you do, and we believe that podcasting is a great way to be able to build that, maintain that relationship. When you do get to say what you do, it's a totally different sort of level of acceptance. And finally, you know what? Sometimes taking that big jump that big leap of faith, if you have the right people surrounding you and that are going to be able to support you to make that big leap, that leap becomes at least a lot less scary, not necessarily easier, but a lot less scary. And if you
Yeah.
are somebody who is working with a larger firm and you're like, wow, I'd just really love to be able to have more control over my life and my overall destiny, maybe you should go ahead and give Rob a call. Check him out on all the social media, which we'll make sure, Rob, we have those in our show notes for the podcast. And with that, for Rob and all of us here at Proudmouth, we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.
Thank you.